What's up, everybody? How are we today? I'm doing okay. So I haven't been around too much lately. I have been very busy. It's nice to see you out there. I'm hanging out. I am very interested to see how everybody's doing right now. Um, what's going on in the world? You know what? Oh, thanks for the gift. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you there. I don't know if I like this weird thing that's happening here. Whatever. It is what it is today. It's been one of those days, you know? I just didn't have one of them days. And it's going to continue to be one of those days, I suppose. What's everybody doing? How are you? Tell me how you been. How's your week going? I'm going to turn off this one light because it's driving me crazy. And we can have a little chat, perhaps. Let's see. We'll change. Oh, look, I got blue, huh? Give me one sec. There we go. That's a little better. You're doing okay? That's good. It's going. Yeah, that's what I feel like right now. It's just kind of going, right? So, I changed the color of the background today. Usually it's blue, but I'm not in a blue mood. I'm in a green mood. Anybody else in a green mood? I might be in a green mood because I had a little bit too much, what the hell did I have last night? Too much gin and juice, I think. And it left me in a little bit of a green mood. What's up, Joe Brown Ghost Hunter? How are you? I'm alright. I'm hanging out. Do me a favor if you're hanging out with me. I have about like an hour or so. Just do me a favor. Share, like, all the good things. Let everybody know what we're doing. We're going to hang out and do some readings, I suppose. I had a lot of fun last week. I got to be on the Kane and Corey show. Big thumbs up and hearts for those guys. Kane is a radio personality. It's really funny what happens. When you're a kid, like this is the experience I've had. So when I was a kid, we had here on the East Coast 92.3 K Rock, which broadcasted out of New York, and we had Kane, and Kane was this really fun radio DJ. And you know, when you're growing up and you're of a certain age, that's what you do. You listen to the radio, try to catch your best jams and all that good stuff. So Kane was on the radio a lot. Always liked him. Always tuned in for his show, and then. Somewhere along the line in the last 2 years, I met him. I did some ghost hunting at his house. We found out that his apartment is haunted. And then we kind of become buds. So he had me on his podcast, the Kane and Corey podcast. And Corey B, if any of you folks don't know, is a really big, I guess he's what we'd really call like an influencer. He's a little over 8 million followers here on Instagram or on TikTok. A couple million on Instagram and a couple million on YouTube. So it was really cool to be invited to do that. So in the meantime, while I'm doing that, I also have was asked to do a haunting, which many of you watched, and thanks so much. A haunting is #1 on Discovery Plus right now, which is highly in part to all this amazing folks like you watching. Anybody here watch Devil's Doll episode season 11 episode 8? Give me a heart if you did. Did you watch any of that? So that was a lot of fun. I got to be a part of that. So getting on TV for a second time was fun. And then, one of my friends, who I've been chatting back and forth with a couple years ago, I helped her out with a really haunted area, where she kept her horses. And you may have heard me chat about it briefly here. And she has that story going to a Travel Channel show as well. And guess what? They invited me to be on. So I'm going to be on another Travel Channel show. And we have another thing in the works still. So a lot of really good things are coming. It's vastly because of the folks like you who are here hanging out with us and doing these things. So I really appreciate it. So last week we had my uncle passed, and I was doing some videos and some content on that. And not so much, thanks everybody who said, sent their condolences. I appreciate you. Not so much because I was looking for any kind of sympathy or anything, but I think it's important for people to understand that, I myself, although I do what I do, you know, there's still a grieving process, and there's still a lot that, even though, we can do what we do, you know, we're sad. We're sad that our loved ones are passing away and they're going to the next place. But something I realized is that I don't grieve like a lot of people grieve. I am sad that my uncle passed, but I'm also not as affected as some people, I think, because he's in a better place, and I know that. And I've seen people come and talk to me from heaven, and I know that heaven is good. Heaven is great, and it's a place that all of us should strive to one day be. And I think most of us will be there. Just so you know, if anybody's asking like where their loved ones are, 99.9% of the time, that's where they are. That's where they are, right? So with that being said, let me tell you about this reading that I did for Kane and Corey. I made a 3-minute video about it, but I have a nice little live audience here, so let's talk. So when I went on this podcast, they asked me if I would do a reading. Now I expected that I would connect with somebody from the show, like one of the 3 hosts that were on at the time. I expected that I would connect with one of their relatives. But what happened was I didn't realize they had a live chat going on while we're doing this. So when I closed my eyes and I started connecting, I saw this woman who told me that she had passed from heart and lung issues, like breathing or surrounded by water or something like so, congestive heart failure. But she said that was a secondary cause for passing. So like she was like, I had cancer. The cancer didn't kill me. The treatment led to me getting even more sick, and that's what I passed from. And then she showed me a picture of daisies. So I saw the daisies, and I said that I thought that was very interesting to see that, because normally flowers are something I kind of brush off, because flowers are something that we give to each other's people for condolences or anniversaries and things like that. So flowers are one of those things that I don't find very good as evidence or meaning between people. Not all the time. So as I was listening to this woman talk to me, Kane jumped in and he said, "Hey, Scott, could this be for somebody that's in our audience listening?" And I said, yeah, actually, I didn't realize you had live listeners right now. So yeah, it could be. I didn't know that there would be anybody coming through like that. So a woman said that she thought it would be her mom, and the daisies were very significant, and the mode of passing was very important. And while I was saying that, I said there was a gentleman with this woman, and he was yelling at me, and he was yelling that he died from a heart attack. Now, it wasn't until I was done with my interview, like maybe hours later, that this woman contacted me on Instagram and said, what's funny is my dad passed away from a heart attack. And I didn't hear you say this because I was so in awe that my mom was coming through. But my dad was also hard of hearing, and he yelled at everyone because he couldn't hear. So he passed of a heart attack, and he would be with my mom. And then the daisies were important for my mom because she is her cremains. So she was cremated. Her cremains are under my daisies in my front yard. And I painted, and she sent me a picture of these beautiful daisies. And she said, I painted this picture, and it's all the daisies, and I painted it for my mom. So that was such an amazing thing to see, and really great evidence of somebody coming through from the other side. And for me, it was completely blind. I had no idea who was going to be there. I didn't know there was going to be anybody live in the chat like now. So it was really interesting to see that, and I thought it was pretty neat. And I thought I'd talk to you all about it, because when you go see a medium or a psychic and stuff, they should be able to come up with some sort of information that is really relevant to the person who's on the other side. And I've had a really lot of amazing instances that way. As a matter of fact, I got to be a part. I wrote an article for myself, basically, for a magazine, which will come out in July, and you'll all be able to get to read about it. But the first instance I ever had in my life of evidentiary mediumship was spontaneous. And I try to tell everybody this all the time. I didn't try to be a medium. It sort of just kind of happened. I was naturally born with it. I used to see ghosts and all that kind of crazy stuff. But then as I got older, my brain kind of connected to the other side in a different way. I was able to connect with spirit in a very different way and see things that other people couldn't in relation to the people who had passed. So it's really an amazing sort of gift to have. And I have a reading tonight. I've been taking it easy on reading since I just got done with my own family stuff going on. So I've been taking it easy on doing readings, but I'm going to start getting back into the swing of it. And the reason I'm saying that, thanks for the sunglasses. They're so awesome. One of the reasons I'm saying that is just because it's important for all of us spiritual and non-spiritual folks that if you are having a tough time in life, take a break. Take a break for yourself and understand that it's okay to take a break and take care of yourself, and then get back to taking care of the people around you, okay? I see some people here in my comments are talking about they don't trust themselves about how to connect and understand. So one of the things that I do all the time here, I'll show you this one, is you write everything down, and this will help you materialize basically the things that are coming through. So this is something I teach in my class, but I'll talk to you about it. One of the things that you want to do is write everything down. This is how I started. You want to write everything down. So like I drew this little stick figure here, right? And I remember this reading in particular. It was somebody's son coming through, and they said, draw this stick figure for me, and tell my mom that I'm drawing it for her and it's our family. So I did that, and this woman started crying, laughing. She was like, that's my son. He couldn't draw even as an adult. Everything he drew was stick figures. So anytime he would make an illustration, he would just draw quick stick figures. So that was a really interesting thing to hear, right? Now, I guess it's okay. I'm not going to give any names, but basically the same reading was the gentleman had passed from he was murdered. He was deceased via gun violence, unfortunately, and that's a tough thing to do when you're talking with somebody, is be in a position like saying like, hey, I'm talking to your loved one, and then I'm like, hey, how did you pass? And they're like, well, I was shot in the stomach several times and once in the head, and I passed from that. So that's a tough thing to have to cover, and it's really, thank you for the Amanda, thank you for the confetti, I appreciate you. That's a really hard thing to do, but it takes a long time to get yourself to be able to convince yourself that you're like doing it, right? So that's why you have to write it down. So I wrote it down, and then I finally came out and said it. There's a lot of mediums who just will say things, and it's kind of jarring, so I don't like when they do that. Me in particular, I like to take my time and really finesse into it, because some of this stuff for many of you is very traumatic. I didn't realize when I started doing this that I was going to speak to so many families that had lost young people. You know, when I grew up, I didn't lose anybody young. A couple people in high school I knew passed in car accidents, and then when I was in the military, of course, I knew some people that passed that way, but those were extreme circumstances and not the normal for where I live, or how I lived my life. So when I got to be out here doing this mediumship stuff, and I'm connecting with people from all over the world in different walks of life in different places, it was very interesting to me that I had to connect with folks who died in very crazy, amazing, terrible ways. And amazing, not like, oh, so amazing, like so fantastic. Motorcycle accidents, murders, mysterious deaths, electrocutions, falling from high places, plane crashes, 9/11, all sorts of walks of life that I would not really have thought that I was going to have to communicate with. But here I am, putting myself in a position to do that. And it does take a little bit of a toll. So anybody who is out here and anybody who is out here who wants to do this and wants to be a medium and talk to the other side, I want you to be ready. Be ready for the circumstances that you are going to be put in to be able to talk. And you'd better be telling the damn truth, and you'd better be putting the person on the other side and the person you're talking to in life before yourself, and understand that you're sitting there in a very important chair trying to help somebody on both sides. And that's not to be preachy. I'm just telling you, I've seen some mediums operate, and I didn't like the way that they were doing it, because they're not putting the other folks ahead of themselves, okay? Is how we die a part of our soul contract? I'm not sure. It could have something to do with it, but I would definitely say that you should refer to other creators who speak specifically about soul contracts. So Cole Collie 2020 says, I always feel bad for an experience with my friend Ashley. You know how I feel? Absolutely. Your loved ones, your friends and family on the other side absolutely know how you feel, and they want you to know that they are okay, and they're aware of your situation and how you feel about them. So as long as you forgive her, she forgives you, and you can move on with the situation, and just know that it's okay. All is forgiven. Love you too. How long have I been don't do that. How long have I been a medium? Since I was about my daughter's age, who's running around here now. Since I was about 5, but that was more of a different experience than now. So I would speak to ghosts, more ethereal beings, and now that I'm older, I connect with spirit things that are further on the other side. And it's a very controlled sort of experience, because it only happens when I really want it to happen. And through meditation, I'm able to just connect when I want. How do they know how you feel? Because exactly how you know how I feel, I tell you. They can feel us, they can hear us, they can feel our feelings and hear our thoughts, because they don't have any of the blocks that we have. We have blocks like we have our own motivations, our own feelings that we put, or we be quiet. So if my wife is mad at me, the only way I'll know is she's not talking to me or she tells me. Luckily for me, my wife always tells me when she's mad at me, so I don't have to guess. They don't have that barrier. They just know. They can feel us. People on here, or other platforms, social media in your life, they talk about being empaths, and that's a true statement on the other side for sure. How do you keep spirits out of your house when you don't want to engage? So basically, my house, they know, is off limits. They don't really come in here. Anytime we come inside the house from ghost hunting or doing any kind of readings or something, I always tell everybody they're not allowed in, and that pretty much protects the house. And everybody knows that I do readings on the other side, so they only come in when I invite them in. And I have a little ritual, so I put on my peppermint oil, and I rub my hands together, and I get quiet, and I meditate, so that they know Scott's going to connect, and now is a safe time to come in and talk. And it's only the selected people that should be coming in. So, what about children that are 4 years old? Will they know you? Yeah, absolutely. I've spoken to many children on the other side. Many times they age up, and they have a deeper understanding than, like, say, my almost 5-year-old daughter would here. They sort of gain some more knowledge, I think. Sometimes they act just like children, and I can only tell you, sometimes I've seen them, and they zip around the house, or they're very lively, or they'll just give me a little piece of information, let me know they're okay. Sometimes just the fact that a child shows up and I can communicate that is enough for a parent to know that their child is there. So that's very important also, because again, we don't expect children to pass at a young age, right? We all have higher expectations that a child does not pass. So whenever one does show up in a reading, it's very important for me to communicate that and articulate it in a way that a parent can understand. And being a parent of 3 children, that's really important to do. Thanks for all the gifts, everybody. I appreciate it. By the way, when we hit $100 in gifts, I donate over to St. Jude's. Speaking of children being sick or passing. So I think when I started this live, I was probably about $92 in gifts. So whenever we hit $100 in gifts, it'll be all donated over to St. Jude's. So thanks, everybody. Your gifts go a long way for the kids out there. My 6-year-old experienced a black man shadow run past her room and scared her. Not sure if it's a ghost. Sometimes shadow people, I think, are imprints in time in places. So what I'd say to you is, if you can afford like an inexpensive $20 camera from Amazon, night vision, plug it in the wall. They work off night vision and or Wi-Fi rather, and they can communicate with your phone. So that's the easiest, most inexpensive way to look and see if you can see anything that your children are experiencing. Always validate them, listen to what they have to say, and tell them that there's nothing to be afraid of, as I think any parent should do. Strange thing, on my mom's birthday, I saw a white flash of light outside the window. Was it Mom? It absolutely could have been. And it's a funny thing that you should say that, because today one of my friends sent me a message on Facebook, and she said that at her window this morning there was a blue jay pecking at the window, and she's like, I got up and I went over, and the bird flew away. And then I came back and I sat down on the couch, and when she sat back down on the couch, the blue jay came right back and started pecking on the window again. And her mom always sends her signs via birds, like always, all kinds of crazy bird signs, not just feathers, like whole live birds. And it's really an interesting thing. So she sent that to me today, and I thought that was really interesting. I said, it sounds like your mom wants you to get up off the couch and get you going. And that's exactly what it sounds like. So everybody who's sharing, thank you so much. My name is Scott. I am a medium and a psychic, more medium than psychic, I always say. I'm hanging out, talking to you a little bit about spiritual experiences and all that kind of stuff. And I really like hearing, okay, so here's a good question, and it's a little bit of a trigger, so trigger warning, folks. Baby Doll 92 says, people that have abused you, after they pass, they haunt you. No. You have full power over those people once they pass. I will tell you this. So here's a story. I like to give you guys stories. I did a reading out in New Jersey a couple years ago, and I sat with a woman and her husband at a table, and as I was sitting at the table and I'm ready to connect with higher vibration spirits, a black mass approached the table, and it came right up to me, and it was like this black, nasty, gooey ball. But it was floating, and I did not see it with my eyes. I could see it here, right? That's how I perceive spirit. And I said, I could feel it, and I said, this is this woman's dad. So I said, I want you to know your dad's here, but he's not here in the typical fashion. He is really, like, nasty feeling, and I'm going to say some really horrible things. So if I'm wrong, you can punch me in the face for talking shit about your family or your dad. You have, and I said this, you have full permission to shut me up any way you want, but I'm going to say some things because I can feel it and it's pretty nasty. And if I'm wrong, punch me in the face, push me, kick me out of the house, don't pay me, whatever you want. I said, your dad is here and he's this black gooey mass. And I feel like he abused you in several different kinds of ways. And I got a little explicit with her. I'm not going to do it here. And she started crying. And her husband, who was a former law enforcement officer sitting in to see if I was the real deal, he said, he was like, holy shit. So what this woman told me is that, and I told her also that I thought that he passed a suicide and that there was more like him behind him. So there are other nasty spirits. And she said, send him the fuck away. Send him the fuck away from me right now. Fuck him, and I don't want to deal with him. And I'm going to tell you what happened. And I'm going to tell you why what you're seeing is valid. So I told that spirit to go away, and he did. And right now as I'm talking to you, I just want you to see this. Like the hair is raising up on my body. Like, is a very, for me, it was even traumatic. Because it was such a crazy experience. So we sent that spirit away, and she said, my dad, I grew up on a commune in another country, and my dad and my uncle were terrible people, and I was a small child, and terrible things happened to me. And yes, he did commit suicide, and there's no way that you could have known that talking to me, because it happened in a foreign country, and there was nothing about it here in the papers, and it happened well before I was even born. And she said, I will never forgive him. And I want everybody to know that if you have abusers that are terrible, you don't have to forgive them. There's a spot for them in the Karmic Wheel, and they're dealing with their karma. Okay. So that was really a pretty interesting experience. And I had to experience it for myself at some level, because I've had people who were abusive to me in my past when I was a small child. So with that being said, you need to know that those people don't have any power over you, and you can tell them to fuck right off every time. Excuse my language, everybody who's hearing me, because you don't normally hear me talk that way, but it's important that we understand that we can say that. Yeah, so the Karmic Wheel is a really interesting thing. It's important that we understand that most of us, even though we think we're doing really terrible, bad things, I think a lot of us carry some guilt for that. You're not. You're okay. We're living a very human experience. We're supposed to make mistakes. We're supposed to do some things and mess up. But for the most part, you're doing okay. Even if you think you're doing terrible, you're probably doing okay. As long as you haven't murdered anybody, you're not making somebody's life miserable on purpose, you're doing okay. So yeah, Christina says she had to forgive the biggest abuser to break generational curse. So that's an interesting way to put it. I would say that, yeah, if you can find forgiveness in your heart, you will feel better as well. But I'm not telling you have to, for sure. I'm not anybody to tell you, because I don't forgive the people who fucked with me. And I always say, like, if I could find these people in life, or if they confronted me in life, I'm pretty well versed in how to beat somebody up, thanks to the United States Marine Corps. Thanks, Marine Corps. How do you know which loved ones are sending you signs? So that's a great question. So we'll lighten it up a little bit. So basically, this is what I'd say. Anytime I see a 1970 Chevelle anywhere, I know that's my Uncle Tony. If I hear certain music on the radio, I know it's Uncle Tony. If I see feathers on the ground, I know that's my mom. If I see, certain different other things, like, I assign that to the person who I believe it belongs to, and that's okay. So whoever you think is sending you signs, and you associate that sign with that person, so that's who it's from. Okay. Can my family members see how my life is and that my life is happy? Yes, absolutely. So your family is definitely looking in on you. Some of the best examples that I give about our family watching us and keeping tabs on us during readings is oftentimes we'll say, like, hey, did you, one of my favorite ones was a couple months ago, where I said, there's this woman who's talking to me, and she said, you got lost in a parking lot. And she thought it was really funny. And the woman who I was doing the reading for started laughing. She's like, can you believe that I got lost in a parking lot? I said, no, but that's your loved one who was with you at that moment talking about it. And they were with you while you were lost, and they were laughing at you in the parking lot. So it was like a big shopping lot, big mall parking lot or something like that. And she got lost. She didn't know how to get out. So her loved one was with her and experienced that and thought it was really funny. So your loved ones are checking in on you. They're watching you. They're laughing and crying with you at the same time. So everything that you're experiencing is legit, and they're watching it. Yep. Christina says her dad leaves dimes, 20 years of dimes. So it might be time to cash those in. Maybe you got you a nice trip. Anybody who is experiencing orbs and stuff like that, just know that orbs aren't, like, if you watch here, you see little dust orbs flying by. Orbs aren't always paranormal. I always try to investigate those to the best of my ability and debunk them. I know people don't like hearing that all the time because they want to have that experience of paranormal activity, but it's not the best one. If you experience it with your eyes, sometimes there's ball lightning or other experiences that can be scientifically explained, and we want to try to do that before we make it paranormal. But if you have done everything to debunk it and you can't, then by all means, maybe it's a ghost. I don't know. Oh, okay. I like that. I have phantom smells of my mother and all my hair stands up. So whenever our hair stands up, that's usually the energy from the other side getting really close to us and talking to us. Phantom smells are the best. One of my first ever encounter with a spirit was I could smell. She made it very clear to me that she was like a prolific baker, baked all the time, and I could smell cake batter. It was crazy. So yeah, it's definitely a great sign from the other side. Debunking makes the real experiences even more authentic. Absolutely. I have dreams and they happen in true life. So anybody who has dreams and then they experience them in real life, this is why I preach this. Keep a dream journal if you're an avid dreamer, and write down all the things that are happening, because the difference between saying I had a dream and it happened, and being able to prove it is I had a dream on February 7th that X, Y, and Z happened, and it is February 23rd and it happened today. And I wrote about it 2 weeks ago. So that's the difference between being able to say it's a psychic premonition through a dream and actually proving that you did it. Or you make a video diary, because that's even better. You can't debate the timestamp on the device. So that's really neat. While you're in the military, did you ever tell fellow soldiers about spirits who were with them? Nope. It's an interesting time while I was in the Marine Corps. I had paranormal experiences, but I didn't have many spirit experiences. I did have one really interesting experience on this place called Camp Johnson in North Carolina. I found out afterwards that place is pretty haunted, and it's pretty well known. Myself and another young Marine at the time, we woke up in the middle of the night and we saw a young boy standing over another Marine, and we both looked and we both saw it. So it wasn't just me, and we saw it with our physical eyes. And that person, we stood up, and the little boy ran out the back door and past the Marine who was awake, because we have something called fire watch where somebody's up guarding everyone, and that the little boy runs off, and we go outside and we say hey to this other young kid, Marine, say, hey, did you see a little boy run out? And the kid was like, no, we didn't see anybody. What are you talking about? But we both saw the same thing. It was really interesting. So we talked about that, but we didn't bring it up too much, because I didn't want to have to go see the wizard, as they say in the military. That's the shrink, the doc. And so anytime I had any kind of paranormal experiences, I kind of kept them to myself unless it was a shared experience. I keep dreaming of a boss who was very mean, vindictive, who has now passed. So what I would do is write down a letter to that boss and say, look, I'd appreciate it if you stop coming and visit me. I forgive you for anything that you've done. If you do, forgive that person and tell them that it's time for them to move on and away from you. Okay? That should help. Why do I have dreams about people dying and they end up actually dying? So again, that's what it goes back to is write it down, and perhaps it's an inner part of your soul journey. I had made a video here like maybe a year ago, and I let the cat out of the bag. I'll tell you now, but I'm not doing this, so don't ask me. I had let a cat out of the bag that I could see a line above people's heads when I look, if I want to. And it's sort of a timeline. It's like a candle wick, and I see how much time they kind of have based on how tall or how short this black line is. And I think that part of the gift is more of a curse than anything. So I had to take that video down because I got like 1 million views in like 10 hours, and it made my life kind of miserable. So it's one of those things that I don't do unless there's somebody who is desperately needing to know something. So I don't do it. But yeah, so I think some of us are really tapped into other people's timelines and we can see things, but it's not necessarily that part. I don't think is a gift. That part is a curse, and none of us should really have that information. So I see this, my son I'm so sorry that your son passed away. I haven't had any dreams about him. I miss him terribly. So, what I would say to do is to write your son a letter and tell him to come and see you and that you love him. And I know that for a fact he can see and hear you, and give him permission. And something I talk about pretty often here. And, as a parent, I'm going to be as kind as I can. We experience loss so deeply sometimes that it builds something called a grief wall. And the grief wall is as solid as a brick wall sometimes. It makes that impossible for us to see them because we are so sad about their passing. So what I would say is if you have a good imagination, close your eyes and imagine this wall in front of you, and you can label the bricks grief, and one by one remove those bricks. Grief, 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 grief. I want to see you. And as you're removing those bricks, I want you to see your son on the other side and say, I see you and I love you and I miss you and I'd like to talk to you. And as you're doing that with your eyes closed and you're imagining them, have them come in and talk to you. Okay. I think that is a powerful tool, and it could help you tremendously. Okay. I don't get too political here, but I will answer this question. What I think about your thoughts on Putin and Ukraine. Being a former military member, I think it's absolutely atrocious. Clearly, there are crimes going on there, and I hope that the powers that be can do something to defend Ukraine and help this stop, because I don't think that it'll stop there if it is not stopped now. So that's my thoughts on that, and that's as far as I'm going to go with that. Anybody who has any children or family that passed, absolutely, they're okay. Like I said, I come on here generally just to let you folks know what's going on in life and death, I suppose. And everybody on the other side's doing well. I'll tell you right now, they're all okay. And heaven is a very interesting place. If anybody's ever watched Supernatural, I hope some of you have. I think the idea that the creators there came up with is really fantastic. The idea of heaven is whatever it is that you want heaven to be. So for me, it'd probably be full of Ghostbusters, my family, and I get to drive a Knight Rider car like everywhere I go. That's my idea of heaven, I think. And probably endless amounts of pizza that I don't get fat from. So everybody on the other side is doing okay. And every time somebody comes to me from the other side, they give me some interesting facts about how they're doing, what they're doing. Their personality doesn't change for the most part, unless they were working on something to get better and be a better person or a better soul at that point. Absolutely. Your mom is definitely proud of you, Meg, for sure. One of the things that, so like on Kane's show, I've spoken to his dad before. And in this last week when he came through, while I was talking to Kane on the phone, his dad came through and he said, I just want you to tell my son how proud I am of him, which I think is something that some folks need to hear sometimes. So yeah, absolutely. Your loved ones on the other side are paying attention. If you're accomplishing things and doing things that you think would make them proud, for sure they are. Hi, Suzanne. I'm good. How are you? You get anybody who wants to talk to their family, just let them know. You can just say out loud, like, "Hey, everybody, I miss you, I love you," and they hear you, they can feel you, all that good stuff. Does Lucy play with Pikachu? Maybe. It's funny. That's the second time that's come up today. About Pikachu, so that's interesting. Probably not a coincidence. So yeah. So sorry everybody who's got somebody who's passed. Like I said, I'm in the same boat. We're all humans. We all have people who passed. It's sad, right? Anybody, I see some people are asking how you can get a reading. Just go to my Snip feed link in the bio, and you can find my little email and send me an email there. Just be aware that I'm just getting back to doing readings. I'm a little backed up, so if I take some time to get back to you, I apologize. We're just chatting about different stuff. heaven, ghosts, spirits, readings, all those kinds of fun things. Oh yeah, your pups are definitely coming by all the time. Your family, your friends, your puppies, your kitties, your goldfish maybe. I have seen hamsters during readings, so guinea pigs, all kinds of interesting stuff. Okay, so this is interesting. I see Ralkala 11 says my sis passed away a week before my baby was born. I'm so sorry. My 7-month always stares at her picture. So I wouldn't doubt that if your sister passed away prior to your daughter being born, maybe you said baby, but I feel like daughter. I could be wrong. That maybe a piece of your sister is with that child. So keep that in mind. If your child starts doing things that your sister do. Yep, daughter, right? So I felt it. That was funny. Hey, Brad, how are you, buddy? Yeah, you definitely have family around. I don't try to do general readings here, but I just base everything off my experience of what I've been doing for the last 40 years. I'm so sorry about your best friend. Hey, Denver, Colorado. How are you? I'm Scott. I'm a medium and a psychic. I'm hanging out, just having a little chat with y'all. If you like what you're seeing, please do me a favor. Just give me a share and a like. I appreciate it. If you want to follow me, that would be great. I was on my way up to 150,000 followers, and then TikTok kind of like cut me off for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I did something wrong and they didn't like it. But yeah, Izzy Boo, you can ask me a question about babies. I'd love to help you if I can. My brother Tommy is in a wheelchair. How is he now? I'm sure he's up and walking for sure, spiritually speaking. I have seen people who had issues such as being quadra or paraplegic or other issues, and they are okay. Many times they let me know, like, hey, I'm not bound by anything anymore, and that makes them happy. So to let you know, if you have family members that had any kind of physical or even mental limitations, those are gone, because without this body, the soul thrives. So that's really important. Baby says, do I work at the police force to find missing people? Not as a medium, but if you've ever seen the television show Paranormal 911, you might know what I do for a living, my regular job, and then the answer is yes, but not as a medium. I'm so sorry to hear about your brother passing alone. I'm sure he's okay, and don't feel bad about anybody passing alone. These are hard times that we're going through right now, and I think we're finally coming out of it here, especially in the States. So anybody who had passed alone, they understand the circumstances, and I've never had somebody come back from the other side and be like, oh, I passed alone, I'm so sad. They say, I understand, and I'm with my loved ones now, and the loved ones who I had already lost came and got me. So let's see. What did I want to talk about? I saw somebody talking. Okay, so about the thing about people passing alone. So my uncle who had just passed, I went to see him 2 days after he had his major stroke, and my grandfather, who I've never met, was standing with him. So my uncle's dad was standing with him in the room, and I've never met this man in life, and I've only ever seen him one other time. And I said to him, why are you here? And he kind of just gave me this like, I'm here because when your uncle's ready to go, I'm going to take my son home. And he was the only one I saw. So I knew that he was the welcoming party for my uncle when he was going to pass. So I knew that at that point that my uncle was going to go on to the other side. And it was a very simple, easy thing because I saw my grandfather. I knew that he was going to be there, and I knew that he was going to take my uncle home. So it's really important that even though somebody might physically be alone, spiritually they are not. They have a whole mess of people on the other side who are going to come and get them. Can past loved ones move objects? We got spooked the other day at home. Yeah, sometimes I think they have the ability to mess with lights. They can move small objects, and when something goes missing or comes back, it's called apporting. So my little acorn here, so if it were to disappear and then reappear later, we call that apporting, and it's a sort of paranormal supernatural thing. If something got shoved off a shelf, I was at a diner about 2 weeks ago, and I know that there was a lot of mafia activity in this particular town, and there was a gentleman talking about the mafia in the town. He was just having a chat with a waitress, and as he was having this talk, a glass fell from a shelf, and it just shattered. It was crazy. He was talking about the mafia and this haunted place and a glass just shattered. Like it fell off a high shelf and just shattered, and nothing else moved. There were no vibrations in the diner. There was no loud bangs or thuds or anything. Just this glass got slid off of a counter, off of a shelf, I mean, and crashed down. So he definitely said something that pissed somebody off on the other side that was watching us and crashed it down. So that's interesting. They can do that. I see Gary says, my grandson's death was very suspicious. He was only 6 years old. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I hope that if there is something suspicious and somebody was responsible for that, that they are brought to justice. My heart goes out to you and your family, and I will say a prayer for you that that he's okay. I'm sure he is on the other side, but for sure that he gets justice. God bless you, Gary. I'm sorry. Do babies grow in spirit form? My son would have been 15 this year. So yeah, so a lot of times they do. They will continue to grow. I saw a young man a couple weeks ago who passed as an infant, but he told me he was 8 and he had passed 8 years ago as an infant, and he was letting his parents know that he was okay, and he was hanging out with his brother, who he gave me some details about, and he liked playing with some certain toys in the house, and I was able to let them know that their son on the other side was playing with the toys that their son now was playing with. So that was a really important message to be able to talk about. So yeah, sometimes they grow in spirit. It's very interesting. Hi there. Hi, everybody. My name is Scott. I'm hanging out with you. I'm having a great time talking with you all. Have I ever watched the Netflix documentary Surviving Death? Yes, I love it. What a great documentary that was. It's very enjoyable. I think I watched it through twice. So anybody who's not seen that, definitely go check that out. That was a good question. Thanks. Did you see people from another time in your youth? No. It wasn't until I got older and started to hone in on my abilities and really control them that I could put myself in different places to see different times, basically. Did you know your wife was pregnant before she was? No. But we were trying to have kids, so like it wasn't a surprise to me that she was going to get pregnant. It seems everyone comes through from the other side as if they were in their 30s. Strange. Sometimes it depends on what they want to show you and your own perspective. So you might feel more comfortable talking to somebody that's in their 30s than, say, somebody who is elderly in their late 90s and has all their ailments and things that they're trying to show you. So I find oftentimes they just come through whatever age they were deceased. The ones who come through when like being young are usually military members, so they'll always come back to me and they'll be like standing up straight and they'll be very thin in shape, square jaw with their uniform on, and they're like, this is how I want people to remember me. I was so proud to do this. I look so good in my uniform, and this is how I want people to know. And then they'll say like, oh, I also died when I was 87. I had Parkinson's. And tell them, oftentimes they'll say things like, tell my family I was not angry with them. It was the disease that was making me the way I was. So, and they'll send an apology that way. So that's really interesting. Hi there, Psychic Killer. How are you? Nice to see you. Would my hubby who passed still guide my son? Absolutely, yeah. We see that all the time. Our loved ones will do their best from the other side to keep guiding us, especially people who loved us in life. So absolutely, they'll definitely be doing that. I saw my dad the day he passed. He was in his 30s and in a tux. Yeah, so isn't that interesting? He was probably in his favorite outfit and he wanted to come through and say hello, or he looked his best like James Bond perhaps, and that's how he wanted you to remember him. So that's really awesome. I really love that. I would love to get a reading with you in person. Tell me how to do it, please. Anybody who's looking for a reading with me, please just go to my link in my bio. It's here on TikTok. Click on the picture. It says snipfeed.scottythemedium, and click on there, hit the email, and send me an email. And just be patient with me because I have a lot. I kind of got backed up in the last week. I wasn't doing any readings. So, yep, that's how I book them. So thanks for asking. I appreciate you. I really don't come on here to sell readings or do anything like that. I really just come on here to chat with you and see how you're doing and let you know how I'm doing and let you know some of the cool things that are going on. I just started guided meditation. Do you know what seeing a deer means? So seeing a deer could be something that I would sense is something peaceful, graceful, timid. So perhaps part of the challenge is for you to walk up to that deer without having it run away, and see how that makes you feel. And don't be afraid if you get close to the deer and it transforms into something else. Don't wake yourself up out of that, because I just watched it happen. So if and when that happens, just be aware that you shouldn't wake up from it. Just keep going. What was the significance of the number 8 to my dad when he passed? He kept repeating it. I'm not sure. I'm not connected with anybody just yet. I will tell you guys, and ladies and gals and everybody, as I'm hanging out with you, there's a gentleman who keeps getting really close to me, and I keep seeing his face, and it's really interesting. He kind of reminds me of like a black and white, because that's how he kind of like Charlie Chaplin sort of guy. He keeps getting really close to me. It's really interesting. He's like definitely from that time period, like the 20s to 30s. He's very old, and he's showing himself in black and white, so I get the idea that he's old. He's got like the hat, and he seems like a very sweet guy. So I don't know if anybody's been going through their ancestry and saw a picture of a gentleman who kind of reminded you of that. I see that sometimes, and he's been pretty persistent as I'm talking to everybody. So just let you know that that's something that I was seeing. Yeah, everybody who wants their loved ones to be around, there sure are. Just to let you know. That's really fun to know that, I think. Hi, everybody. How are you? Does he like cheese? He might. My mom was in the hospital when she passed, but she's sad because my brother was in jail. Oh, I'm so sorry. No, I'm sure that she was okay. I'm sure she was sad that he wasn't able to be there, but on the other side, they're okay. I'm sure she visited him shortly after. So Cricket Lee says, that's exactly a pic from my dad I just found last week through an unknown cousin. So Cricket Lee, just to let you know, that's your dad pushing through, and he just wants to say hello. And it's really interesting that so when I give explanations of what I'm seeing, a lot of times I try to explain it as broadly as possible, but specifically, if that makes sense. So your dad just wants to let you know that he's doing okay, and I'm happy that you were here in my live to hear that. And he's being very persistent. So that was really interesting. If you want a reading from me, just please go into my link in my bio and hit the email button and send me an email telling me you're interested, and I'll send you back the rates and all that kind of stuff. Thanks for asking. I normally don't sit here and do readings live, but I was just letting you know, like, he was being very persistent. So I thought it was important to tell you. My husband passed. Oh, I'm so sorry. Do they ever get stuck at this hospital? Very rarely. Will they get stuck at the hospital? They know the way out. The hospital's full of portals for them to exit out and get where they need to go. So don't worry about that. I'm very sorry for your loss, by the way. You're so welcome, Cricketly. So the fact that you saw that photo of your dad, and you just saw it in the last week, not only, because I'm sure he didn't look that way, right? So the reason why he did that, and he chose specifically to show that to me, was to say, that he was witnessing you as you got that photo. So just know that that was his validation of saying, I was there when you got the photograph. So that's really important for you to know. Okay. So isn't that interesting? Can I open myself more to feel ones that have passed? Yeah, I do it all the time, but I wasn't trying to do it right now. Her dad was just being really strong. Do you know straight away that you're dead when you die? I don't always think so. I think sometimes it takes a little while. Like my uncle who passed recently, it took him a minute. I was like driving and I could see him, and I was like, buddy, you passed, you got to go. And it took him a little while, but now I haven't seen him. So I think that he figured it out and he's on his way over. My husband passed in our apartment, and since then I've moved. Did he get out? Okay, absolutely. Bug in the house says, my brother in ICU, is he going to be okay, or is he going to pass away? I feel like I want to say, Bug in the house, that I feel like, as you asked me that question, why did he have, what's up with like his neck? Is there rods or something in his neck? What's going on there? I don't know why I keep seeing pins or rods around his neck or something. And I think that's really important to the question you asked me. I feel like he kept stepping away from his body a little bit. I don't like doing readings live because it's such a sensitive thing and it's such an important thing to talk about and be right about. But I feel like I want to say that he most likely is not going to come out of the ICU. because I keep watching a body and a person separate from it. So I'm sorry to answer it that way. That's the trouble of doing live stuff. It's such a sensitive thing, and I'd much rather tell you that in person. You know, anybody who had somebody pass away unexpectedly, just know that when you say goodbye anytime, they can hear you, okay? No, as a matter of fact, Denise says the only answer people who pay. Actually, I'm not one of those people who come on here and do that. I'm just here hanging out, and if something strikes me, I'll answer it, but I don't ask for any money. But if you send a tip, anybody who sends me tips, I'd let you know that that money goes to St. Jude's. Every $100, as soon as it hits 100, I send it and I donate it over to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So anybody who sent me a tip, just know that's where it goes. And I don't ask for any payment here. I'm just hanging out, actually. So yeah. Anybody who wants a one-on-one reading with me can just send me an email. My link is in my bio. What's up, G-Babe? 050, how are you? I find ladybugs in my house. We find ladybugs only in my youngest daughter's room. It's crazy. I think that has something to do with spirit as well. Am I going to be okay? I've been ill. It looks like you're going to be okay. You're going to be passing off some of the issues that you've been going through, and you're going to start to feel better. Just know that it's not going to be immediate, and you're going to have to keep going through whatever it is that you're going through right now, but you will feel better, okay? Did they call me a different name on the paranormal show? Actually, I asked them not to use my name at all, due to my other employment. So if you watch the show A Haunting, the one that was on 2 weeks ago, Devil's Doll, season 11, episode 8, they just referred to me as Scott, which is my first name, but they didn't use my whole name, and I asked them not to. Does spirit have control when they pass over? Absolutely. They can stay here. That's how we get ghosts, actually. They can stay here, and when they stay here, they create a ghost problem. So we always want to encourage our loved ones, especially, to cross over, and I think 99.999% of the time they do. That's why true hauntings are very rare. Tell us about the fridge full of hamster meat. Oh my god, that's disgusting. I don't know anything about that. Bug in the house said he got in a car accident. He has metal rods by his neck, shoulder ripped from the accident. Okay, so that's definitely your loved one that I was reaching out to when I was doing that. So I don't want to give you bad info, but I definitely, since you validated that rods in the neck thing, I will tell you that I most definitely feel that is him, and I don't feel that he's going to get out of the ICU. I will pray for him that he does, though. Okay? We always want the best for people, as long as it would serve him best, to make it out. Okay? So my condolences and my prayers for your family. And thank you for validating and letting these other folks here know that I'm indeed, a real deal person in what I'm doing. Thank you for helping validate that. Much love to your family. Anybody who's wondering, I see, do they understand issues that were going on? Yep, absolutely. If they, even if they didn't had to mention all that other stuff, yeah, they know. If they cross over, can they still connect? And is Robert still with me? Yes, when they cross over, they still connect. They connect better from the other side than they do here when they stay as ghosts. That's for sure. And if you feel that Robert is still with you, or you need him with you, then yes. The woman in the white dress I saw today, does that mean my abilities are awakening? Yeah, it could be. So if you're starting to see things like that, it could mean that they're coming. That could be a guide. So meditate and ask who that was. Hey there, Wendy Baker. How are you? Nice to see you there. So again, I don't really do lives and do like readings. lives, but if there is somebody that steps forward, I will tell you, okay? So that was important that their loved one was able to get that message. And the pins in the neck was very interesting to see. So if people are asking, well, how did you see that, Scott? I literally saw rods like being inserted into their neck, and that a generic sort of version of that. So I would understand how to connect, and they would know that I was specifically connecting to their loved one. And that's how readings go when we do a Zoom reading. It's the same thing, except for it's just you and I, and it's very private. And it's very important that those things really are private, because it's very sacred to me that I have this amazing gift. And I was happy that that person let me share that information with you folks out there. And it's really important that you know that that's how it goes. And I want to be as comforting and as loving with you as possible, and let you know that I'm doing my best to give you everything I got, because it's important. It's important to me that's how it is. And I think that most very good true mediums, that's the truth of it. That's how we want it to be. Is there meaning behind the robin bird being around someone before passing? Not that I know of. I often look those sorts of things up. For a while I had a grackle. I didn't know what a grackle was. I had to Google it. I saw a black bird with a purple shiny head or something, and I was like, what the hell does that mean? And it was something about being spiritual messengers. So yeah, even I Google things because I'm not super versed in everything in the world. That's why being a medium is good, because I can give you specific stuff and you understand it better than what I am. I just put the information out. So it's important. What is the best way to meditate? I have 5 kids. It's hard. God bless you, first off. I have a good pair of headphones. They're not a good pair of headphones. They're just my headphones. They're just, I can't take them off for full wires. But just headphones, music, something light and easy. And that's the best way I do it. That's how I do it. Butterflies are really interesting. They seem to be like the spiritual messenger of the world. So I like that. How do you know if your loved ones have crossed over? Most of the time they have. That's the best thing I can give you, is normally they don't want to stay as a ghost because they don't want to be stuck. I keep having recurring dreams of my childhood home had burned and my aunt died during the fire. Oh my gosh. So what I would say is write a letter to your aunt who passed. Tell her that you love her and you miss her, and ask her if there are any messages that she has beyond the burning of the house and how she passed, and ask her if there's anything that you can help her with, and see if you get a response from that in a dream, or the dream goes further beyond that trauma. Anybody who would like a reading, or I see somebody keeps, I'm sorry, I keep missing it. The end of your name is Morton. Can you tell me what my gift is? So if anybody wants to schedule a reading like that for me, just let me know, and I can do that as well. We can sit and have a hour-long conversation. That's how long my sessions all are, no matter what we're doing. They're all 1 hour long. And we could talk to loved ones, spirit guides. We can talk to you and your higher self, and we can see what your gifts are in particular. So if that's something that interests you as well, it's something we can do. You just have to go to my link in the bio there and send me an email and let me know that you're interested, and I'll get back to you and let you know about that stuff, okay? I see somebody says, how am I with the person I'm supposed to be with? So I'd say that the person that you are with is sure as hell fighting to be with you. So if you feel that strongly about them, then yeah, that's the person you're supposed to be with. Not all relationships are super easy, as most of you know. That's why they're relationships. It's hard to coexist with another person. We all have our quirks. All right. It is time for me to get going. I got to pick up my son from school. It was super fun chatting with you. I'm sorry to go leaving 180 hanging, but if you like to hang out with me, follow me for more. I do lives at least 2 to 3 times a week, and we'll have more very cool and fun things like this for sure. But I got to go pick up my son now. Say bye, everybody. That's my daughter saying bye. Thanks, everybody who hung out with me today. Make sure that you follow me here and all my other places. Okay.